We continue to follow breaking news out of Cedar Park, Texas, just north of Austin, Texas. We now know that a mom called police saying her son had kicked in the door to their home and was acting violent. When police responded, they were met with gunfire. 3 officers were wounded in the exchange. We're told they are stable. The mother and her son have been barricaded in that home along with another family member. At last check, that scene is still active and FBI is on standby. This is a story we will continue to follow both on air and online at FOX16.com. New tonight, as COVID-19 continues to spread across the country, many in nursing homes are feeling isolated. One group is working to change that nationwide. Our own Hunter Hoagland talked with a woman in Central Arkansas who says caregivers across the country are working to see their loved ones face to face. Hunter.
Yes, Stephanie, it's a group on Facebook with thousands of members called Caregivers for Compromise because isolation kills too. I talked to one of the members today who says they're writing to elected officials hoping to scale back on some of the guidelines required for in-person visitation. Separated by glass and spotty cell service, this mother and daughter giving us a window into life on the inside of a nursing home.
It's very isolated here, and some days I don't see anybody but just people that work here.
Annie Knitsch is 85 years old. Her daughter Janet Caldwell says many nights she lays awake thinking of her mom who sits alone.
My biggest fear is my mother passing without me at her bedside. That's not the way it was supposed to be.
Caldwell says she and thousands of others who belong to the Facebook page Caregivers for Compromise are writing elected officials hoping to make it easier to see their loved ones.
There's maybe been just a very small response to it, like, thank you, we received your letter.
She says the group's goal is to get one person per family who would be allowed in and out of their loved ones' rooms, abiding by the same guidelines as the employees who work here. The Arkansas Department of Health says in-person visitation is allowed at nursing homes, but there's a long list of requirements that the facility and visitor must meet before that can happen. One of them mandates that the facility suspend all visitation for 28 days if anyone in the nursing home tests positive for COVID-19. Caldwell hopes to come up with a better solution.
I love you, kisses.
To see her mom face to face.
We want to compromise because isolation also kills.
Members of the Facebook group say they would wear PPE, go through training and mandatory tests if it meant seeing their loved ones. If you'd like to read all the guidelines the state has put in place for nursing homes, I posted them inside the story on FOX16.com. Stephanie, back to you.
Hunter, thanks so much. And tonight's State of the Nation report, major developments in the chaotic situation involving the Postal Service and mail-in ballots. The White House is now making a critical pledge regarding mail sorting machines. Meanwhile, House Democrats announced they are ramping up their investigation into the USPS as election concerns grow. Britt Conway has the latest.
A major pledge. White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows giving a key statement to CNN's Jake Tapper on State of the Union.
Sorting machines between now and the election will not be taken offline.
This comes as criticism is growing for the Postal Service for dismantling some machines across the country and planning on removing more. On Friday, the Postal Service warned that mail-in ballots in all 50 states may not be received by election offices in time to be counted. That triggered backlash and calls for the Postmaster General Louis DeJoy to reverse recent policy changes.
The Post Office, by slowing down the mail, is hurting millions of Americans, millions of New Yorkers, and it's worse during a COVID crisis.
Democrats accuse the president of trying to undermine the election through the post office. On Sunday, New York Senator Chuck Schumer announced House Democrats are ramping up their investigation into the Postal Service and demanded the Senate be called back into session so the postmaster could testify in those hearings.
And if Mr. DeJoy refuses to appear, he should be stamped return to sender. He shouldn't be allowed to be the Postmaster General.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
And House Speaker Nancy Pelosi calls for the House to return from recess to address the U.S. Postal Service crisis. On Sunday, Speaker Pelosi said in a letter to lawmakers that there will be a vote later this week on the Delivering for America Act. The act prohibits the Postal Service from implementing any changes to operations or levels of service it had in place at the start of the year. The House could reportedly be back in session as early as Saturday. A crime alert tonight. Several people are shot at a flea market in San Antonio. It happened Sunday morning. The area of the flea market where the shooting happened was closed off. The police chief says there is more than one crime scene within that area.
There were multiple shooters, to include a security guard who returned fire at one of the people that was shooting. We don't believe at this point that any of the people who were shot were innocent bystanders. So multiple guns recovered, multiple rounds fired.
The information is preliminary and police are currently investigating this case. It was a busy night for first responders in Ohio. Police say 17 people were shot in multiple incidents in Cincinnati early Sunday. Officers, firefighters, and paramedics responding to different areas over the course of just a few hours.
These all occurred within about an hour and a half of each other, but it's not like they're related in any way, not that we have any information that they're tied together. These all seem to be separate, independent incidents, but horrific and tragic that we have this much violence and potential for that much loss of life in our city.
At least 6 people are at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center. 3 others are at Christ Hospital. New tonight at 9 o'clock this weekend, the Northwest Arkansas Freedom Rally took place in Rogers on Saturday. Organizers said its intended purpose was to protest perceived government overreach, specifically on mask mandates. Protesters waved large American flags and signs. One man who attended the rally said he was there to give a voice to those who oppose demonstrations that have happened across the country since George Floyd's death.
We need to speak out, and we need to give our opinions. We need to start meeting, and we'll do it in a peaceful way.
With thousands of predators online, the National Child Protection Task Force wants to keep your kids safe as they start virtual learning this fall. Haley Burley tells us the best ways to make sure your child stays focused and learning.
Virtual learning, of course, opens up screen time, opens up internet access.
Kevin Metcalf is the founder and president of the National Child Protection Task Force. He says with thousands of kids gearing up for virtual learning this upcoming school year, it's important to make sure your kids are staying safe.
Build that relationship, build that trust.
Chandra Gardner is a Springdale mom of 6. All of her kids will be doing virtual learning this semester.
In-person learning, being in the school, is what's best for them. But considering the circumstances, I don't think that in-person learning is what's best for them at this time.
While she believes in-person learning is best,
we can't risk them bringing anything home.
She wants to keep herself and her family safe at home. She says Springdale put in a lot of safety measures online.
Logs in it to make sure that they are only going on to sites that are approved.
And the school is constantly monitoring activity.
And if something does get past the school, they're going to receive a report that was accessed so that they can handle it right away.
And having those trust-building conversations is what she's preparing for.
If you're choosing to go virtual, you have to be willing to put in that time and effort to make sure that it's being used in an acceptable way.
The goal is to make these kids, when they hit 18, able to responsibly deal with online activity, to be safe, to be responsible, to be aware of all the dangers on there.
And that was Haley Burley reporting. A man says he punched a great white shark to save his wife when it attacked her Saturday at a beach in Australia. An unbelievable story. They say she was attacked by the shark while surfing and suffered severe lacerations on her right leg when her husband paddled to her side to get that shark away. Earlier media reports had said the man jumped onto the shark to save his wife, but he clarified that he actually climbed onto the surfboard that his wife was on and punched the shark.
Oh, you see the mother of your child and your support, everything that's who you are, and so you just react. You just get off that calf. That's all I could think was just get off, you know. And if it was a dog, if it was anything in that same way, you just get it off. You're not thinking punch it. I don't think punch anytime soon. You just, your body reacts to saying get off, get off. And
a frightening ordeal. He said his wife was in good spirits in the hospital, but said there is a long road to recovery. My goodness. Coming up after the break, while high school sports may still be happening here in Arkansas, canceled in several parts of the country. While some athletes are happy about staying safe, others are concerned over the mental health effects and what it could do to potential scholarship offers.
And if you're hoping to get out and about early in the morning, maybe get some exercise